Hey guys, thanks so much for joining another video. I really wanted to make tonight's video for focused on newborn oils and also the ones that I'm going to take in my hospital bag. So I've got this fancy little case here that I'm going to pack some things into and have that as our go-to case for all kinds of oily goodness. So the reason that I'm going to use the oils through labour is because they support quite a lot with the emotional side of things and the physical side as well. So there's a whole range of oils that will help through from I guess the initial change in your body from a hormonal perspective to right through to post birth when it's things like milk production and things like that. And a couple of those oils actually do both when it's hormone related, and we'll talk a little bit about those today. So I thought what I wanted to start with is actually the newborn oils and what I wanted to put in the hospital bag to use those few days after birth as an option for having a little newborn. So I wanted to talk to you about dilution, and first and foremost, I think the most important thing here is quality. So when we talk about, sorry guys, I've got to put them back on so I can see what I'm doing. When we talk about quality with essential oils, and what I'm talking about here today is please do not go and follow my advice and then go and get some random chemist brand oils. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm big on quality and obviously work with doTERRA, and the reason for that is because they are the best with quality, and that means that there's about 17 rounds of testing inside and outside of the company, and they go through all kinds of testing, looking through for heavy metals within the quality of the with the actual oil. So like for example, this is a lemon. In the bottom there's a little batch number, so that's going to give you not just the expiry date, but that batch number you can look up and see exactly what the results were from its testing. They're not going to sell it to you if anything, for any reason, it was contaminated with anything else, including something like a carrier oil. So unless it's a blend, like for example, Balance is a blend that has some fractionated coconut oil in it already, to bring down the dilution. That's labeled on there with the other oils that are included on it. But anything else that's, for example, lemon is the straight oil, that's not going to have anything else cut, as they like to say, in the oil. So you're not going to have any petrochemicals, you're not having anything that's a similar species of plant, like for example, when we look at cinnamon bark, pardon me, and cassia. Where's my cassia? These are really, really similar smelling and very similar plants. Chemically structured, they're quite similar. So cassia here is the cheaper version, and cinnamon bark is almost double the price. So if you were to just get a general company that didn't have that kind of knowledge about it, they could, or those kinds of testing, when they're actually making them, they could be topping up their cinnamon with cassia because it's cheaper. So in the long term, obviously, these are the kind of companies that they're getting away with it, and they're able to make more money out of it. But in the short term, and for our health and safety, it's not being used. We're not using the correct oils for the right reasons, or we might be having some kind of extra piece entering into that chemical structure, thinking that we're using one kind of oil. So please, especially when it comes to pregnancy, health, and especially during something as serious as labor, and when it comes to something as precious as a newborn life, you really need to make sure that if you are using essential oils, that you are using the best kind of quality. So my first one to talk about is, before we get into the newborn oils, I think I just want to focus a little bit on clary sage. So clary sage is known as an oil for hormonal support or helping with hormone balancing. This is the one that I've got here. It's quite a potent smell. It's quite a bit florally, a little bit like geranium kind of smelling, if you can think of a plant. It doesn't smell like, well, I don't think it smells like white sage, like what you'd burn in your house to get rid of heebie-jeebies and that kind of thing. It smells quite different to me. So helping with that emotional support with the balancing of the hormones, but also it's said to stimulate the uterus and bring on contractions. So what we're doing here in Singleton, because we have so many of us that are pregnant or have just had babies, is a bit of a trial with the clary sage. So we've been using quite a strong roller version, so there's about 25 drops in that, and it's got the fractionated coconut oil topped up in that. Some of the girls have been using this or been using the clary sage straight and either putting it in a bath or dropping it on, using the roller on their tummy, on their sort of uterus area, and seeing what happens. So we've had a couple of mixed reports, so I'm really excited to start using it, but I'm still kind of deciding when. So you'll hear from me when I do, because I'll probably have a baby. But yeah, clary sage, that, and it's one to definitely avoid during pregnancy. Most of us will avoid it. There are mixed reports, especially from the US, that they'll say it's a hormone balancer. It's not actually going to bring on any kind of contractions, but why would you take the risk? So that's the situation. Okay, so that's the clary sage. Let's talk about newborn oils, and I wanted to show you guys how I'm going to make them up. So I'll just move this down. You'll see my mess all around me. Hopefully you guys can still hear. So what I've got here is these tiny little rollers. So this is a 5 ml roller. This is a 10 ml. So that's something that we'd use for adult dilution. And the reason we dilute it is just so it's safe on the skin. We're getting more of a surface area, and we're making sure that that coconut oil is helping actually get it into our skin a lot faster. Surface area is a big one as well. If you were to just drop that on yourself, you're using one whole drop and you can't really spread it that far. It will, be quite potent as well. And if you have an allergic reaction, you're not toning it down with anything. Getting oils in the eyes and that kind of thing, you want to start using the coconut oil to get rid of it, not water, because of course oil and water doesn't mix. So this is a 5 ml. This is what I'm going to be using for our baby's little pack of oils. I've got some little roller balls here. So the first one I wanted to do was lavender, because lavender, it's not even here, it's in Anna's room. I'll have to do that one after. Lavender, I'll just tell you why I'll use lavender, because it's such a good all-rounder. It's known as the Swiss Army knife, so excellent for anything skin related. The obvious thing for lavender people think of is relaxation and being quite calming. It's also really good for teething pain and even through to things like gut sort of digestion and whatnot. Things like little itches or anything skin related, it's going to be a really good one. And all I'm going to do is put one drop in. I'm going to show you with my frankincense here. So frankincense is another one that I wanted to include for a newborn oil, because it is just it's known as the king of oils. It's just such a good one for every kind of aspect, from emotional health to physical health, particularly good with brain support, an all-rounder from digestion, respiratory support, skins, moods, just all kinds. So I want to show you exactly how I'm going to make this up. So I've got this handy little pump action on my coconut oil. So it's pretty much just going to be pumping it a bit. See if you guys can see. Pumping this mostly full of the fractionated coconut oil. And I'm going to get my frankincense. Let's see how well I can do this on video if I can only get one drop in. There we go. All right, so we've got one drop of frankincense in there, and then the rest is going to be topped up with the FCO, our fractionated coconut oil. And I'm going to put the lid on for the roller, and then I'm going to get my little black lid. Give that a shake before you use it. And we've got these handy dandy stickers that we get online through doTERRA as well. So I'm just going to pop a little frankincense on the lid there. So now I know what that one's for, and it's got the one drop in the 5 ml. So you can do like a one drop in a 10 ml. Because I'm using really quite safe oils, I'm going to go for one drop in a 5 ml. You could do the 2 drops in a 10 ml, 10 ml being that size I was just talking about before. But I think the best thing for this is to put this back up now. It's my washing. Is to start small. So you always want to start at the lowest possible ratio of oils, and you can build up as the child gets older. And this works, and this is relevant for little toddlers as well. So with Anna, I think we started about 4 drops or so, and now she's between 5 and 7, depending on what kind of oil or what kind of blend it is. So it's really important to make sure you are diluting, not just going right on and applying that oil to the little person. When we don't apply it neat to ourselves, you've got to think how small they are compared to us, and it's going to go through their cells so much faster, and it just becomes quite unnecessary. So dilution is very important, and I think I'm going to continue to say that, because I will stress the safety side of using something natural. It's amazing to use something natural and it's great, but you have to be safe about it. The other ones I wanted to use was Digestin. So as we know, like, the digestion system for a little baby can be quite, it's just starting. It's just starting as they come out the womb, and they're just starting to actually ingest food, and that needs a little bit of time to get used to everything going on. So I think Digestin is a really good support for that. Again, a real small amount, just to help get things moving. It's a really good one for us as well, and I'm going to use it in my post-labor bag, because those first few movements down below are really important, especially when you've just had things ripped apart. Myrrh is this is one that, if you know anything about all the Christian stories and what, you'll know this one along with frankincense as one of the most world-renowned oils. Myrrh is really, look, I'll take the lid off for you and I'll show you guys. It's compared to like something like this. Look how clean that lid is, and I've only used this a few times, and this one's just like real sappy. So it is really thick and gluggy. It's a really expensive oil, but it is beautiful. It really helps with the earth, the connection to Mother Earth, or the mother or the father, and emotionally, that is. But for little babies, it's good to help with getting the umbilical cord to heal and come away nicely. So we're going to put that one in there as well. And lastly, Balance, which is in Anna's room as well. So a grounding blend, which is just great, a great all-rounder for perhaps it's getting a bit of that time where you're taking a bit to get used to each other. I think Balance is just a beautiful one to ground the emotions, feel a bit more settled. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys the labor blend that I've got here. So my friend Zoe and I looked through a few labor books, which are, this is what I love about all of this kind of understanding of oils. It becomes really, the knowledge becomes really accessible. So we looked through this one, like the birth kit essentials and essential blends for birth. So these give us lots of rounded ideas, and we can take from that what we like and match it up to something that we might count as like a major text, like the Modern Essentials book, which has all kinds of the oils in there, what they do, how they help health-wise as well. So it's a bit of picking and choosing and sort of going, okay, I've seen that, lavender written for labor here, here, and here. I'm going to start using that. So let me talk about what's in my labor blend. There are a lot of oils in this, and it is really potent. And the reason I wanted to do one is because when I'm in labor, I'm not going to be like, oh, Jared, get the clary sage and the orange out. Like, it's just not going to be one of those scenarios. So I wanted one roller to continuously use through labor and post-labor. So let me tell you about what's in here. So we've got frankincense, which is a good all-rounder, as I've mentioned before. It's good for fatigue and also the pushing stage. The Hylocrissum is the same as well for the pushing stage as well. That's also a really good one to put on, like, just as a side note, open wounds and stuff like that. So if you've got like someone that's, like, for example, when Anna cut her eyebrow, using Hylocrissum on its own on there would be really good to start working to stitch the skin, all those cells back together. It's known as liquid stitches. So you can imagine the kind of help that it causes for blood flow and those sorts of things. So one that I do like to avoid during pregnancy for that reason as well. This one, Cypress in here, was just one I needed to include it. I don't know why, and it wasn't really in what we read for labor. But then when I looked at the emotional aspect, it's the oil of motion and flow, which is perfect for labor. That's exactly, you just want to be able to go with the flow, and get things moving. So I included that one as well. Copaiba is a really good one for general pain, and it has a very similar chemical structure to cannabis. So we're getting those same kind of benefits that you would through using that, but legally. Ginger is good for delivering the placenta, so that's always one that you forget about. Yay, the baby's out. Oh, you're not finished yet. Lavender is in here as well, and that one's really good, interestingly enough, for circulation and being quite calming, as you guys are probably familiar with as well. And of course the clary sage for that hormonal balance. It's also good for toning the uterus and milk production as well. And I feel like those things kind of go hand in hand when you're talking about, when you start to breastfeed, that you can feel your uterus contract and go back into place, and at the same time you're sort of feeding. So it makes sense that one oil does the same, that helps for that same action. And I really find it quite amazing. So I'm really looking forward to letting you guys know how I go with this. And it might be one of those scenarios where I completely forget to use it, but the reason we chose these is because they are going to help post-labor as well. So it's just one of those all-rounder blends that I'll be able to get a lot out of. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys is the clary sage here. So, oh no, I did say that already. See, baby brain. That you can sort of start using from 37 weeks when you count it as term. Obviously 40 weeks is full term, and it's best to start talking to your midwife and all that. I'm no expert, so please talk to your doctors before you start using any of this. The hospital that I'm going to are really quite accommodating with natural alternatives, so using something like a roller is perfect, because if you're taking in a diffuser to the hospital, you don't know, usually their rules, they've got quite strict rules, and also you could be putting someone else at risk that might be allergic to whatever you're diffusing, or possibly pregnant, and maybe they don't know it, especially with lots of women midwives around. So you want to make sure that you're not putting anyone else at risk by diffusing what you want to just to get your baby out. So that's why that personal application, being able to put it wherever is really good. During labor as well, I've showed you guys this oil before, the ice blue. I've got the ice blue rub to take with me into labor. I haven't used it during what's called pregnancy because of the wintergreen, because it's quite a strong anti-inflammatory. Pardon me. So it just got to be careful with what kinds of things you are applying to yourself. But during labor and post-labor, I thought it'd be a really good one to start using lower back and just getting that cooling sensation through when you are in pain and just want to scream. Okay, so post-labor, what have I got for you guys? What I thought would be, when my old boss said to get a spray bottle of salt to help heal the wound down below. So I'm going to do that again, but I'm also going to use the heal spray as well. So this is known as like an owie spray, and it's often for kids because it's got some soft oils in there, but they help with like the tea tree, the disinfectant side, the lavender with the healing of the skin, and the frankincense as well as a bit of an antiseptic. So that I think will be perfect, and it's got fractionated coconut oil in there as well, so there's nothing too drying about it. And just spraying that after the toilet I thought would be a really good one. Obviously keep the dilution quite low and then see how you're going. Okay, Roman chamomile and lavender. Roman chamomile is really, I really don't like the smell of it. I'm not going to open it for you to tell you what it smells like. No, and some people absolutely love it. I'm like, no, I don't like it at all. But it's actually a really good all-rounder for after pains, from the boobs right to the tummy, and helping things just get back into order, because after labour pains can sometimes be just niggling and annoying, or for some people really quite painful. So Roman chamomile and lavender are beautiful ones to use for that. I've got my lavender roller ready to take in my hospital bag as well because, well, I better top it up before we go. Ooh. Then it's already done, and lavender is just such a good all-rounder. I think I never gave it enough credit until I decided not to put one in my little carry bag that I take with me everywhere. I didn't have one in here, and the amount of times I was like, oh, lavender will work for that, and didn't have it. I thought, why? So just put it in. That's, if you're gonna get any kind of oil, get that one, peppermint and lemon, and you've got such good all-rounders. While we're on that though, one to avoid for breastfeeding is peppermint, because it can reduce supply. When I weaned Anna, it actually really helped cool and soothe the area and take that real engorgement out. So of course it can be helpful for engorgement, but what you want to do at this point is start building up your supply, not doing the opposite. But there are, geranium is a really good one, which surprised me. And again, not so much of a fan of the smell, but this is a really good one for all kinds of breast health related scenarios. So that one's going to be one. I'm going to make a roller of this one and lavender, and use that as my go-to for anything. But I mean, this is like where it comes into those things that you've got to think about, that obviously don't start using even your roller on any area that the baby's going to then touch with their mouth, because then they're taking it internally, and that's just something you want to avoid. So I would use anything you put on your breast in a similar way that you would for like the Lanisol or whatever it's called, the nipple cream, where you put it on after a feed. It has time to absorb, and then you can even wipe it off again. Make sure there's nothing, so residue or anything like that on your breast before baby feeds again. So these kinds of things are things to think about, and perhaps even, you know, start discussing with the medical people that you talk to, and even do your own research. I think it's really important to do your own research and get a good understanding of what you know the knowledge to be, to then take from it what you want, because it's your personal decision and it's your body and it's your baby. So clary sage I'll be using, so this one's not going to go to waste. So say for example I don't use it at all, or go into labor without using it at all, I'm going to use that to help stimulate the milk production. But in saying that, because it is a very strong, I know this is a super strong blend, I'm not going to be using it like on my actual boobs or anything like that. I'll probably do more of like a in the gland kind of areas, like maybe around your underarm or on the neck or bottoms of your feet. If you don't want to actually touch the area that is affected with any kind of roller, bottoms of the feet is the go-to, because that's where we talk about reflexology. The hands are also counted in reflexology, sort of medicine, what part equals what. And I do have the reflexology on feet that we did a few months ago if you wanted to refer to what area is good for like respiratory support or whatever. But your hands are not so great to use, because then you're touching your face or the baby or whatever. So feet is always a really good one, and for little ones as well. It's a good area, good spot where they're not going to touch unless they put their feet in their mouth all the time. And yes, as I mentioned, the digestion as well, I'm going to put in my post-labor bag. So that's all I've got for you guys. I'm also going to keep up with my emotional support oils. So so many. Intune is like one of my absolute favorites. That's something that I use for, all right, we're going to get the job done. I need to focus. I need to listen. I need to talk a full few sentences without blanking out. Intune is the oil that I'm using. That's what I use before my videos as well. And I've been using it again since I've been in the 3rd trimester, and it's something I did avoid for most of my pregnancy. But anyone that's watched my previous pregnancy videos knows that we've got our own personal reasons for doing that. It's not to say that everyone should do what I've done or pack what I've decided to pack for my bag as well. Bergamot is a really good one. This is a beautiful citrus oil, or bergamot, depending on how you say it, is a really good one for helping with that self-acceptance and self-reassurance. So I know after we have babies, our bodies are different, and it can take a little while to get that self-confidence back up. So that's one that I'm going to start using again quite a lot, and just make sure that I'm feeling confident in myself again, and respecting and acknowledging what a great job my body's been able to do, no matter how I birth. But the fact that, you know, you're able to carry a child alone is just amazing. So Motivate is a really good one, an excellent one for mums as well. But it does have the peppermint in there. I'm thinking there's a tiny bit of peppermint. Let me double check. Basil, coriander, so there is peppermint in there. So some people are affected by peppermint, some people aren't. I was in big doses, like actually rolling the peppermint on my boobs when I was trying to stop feeding when she was 2. But before then, you know, it'd probably be something I avoid. But I will use the Motivate, you know, from time to time, especially in the mornings. But that is something to keep in mind. The Ice Blue, I think, is going to be a good one for those kinds of post-labor pains as well. But emotionally, the Clary Calm or Clary Sage, they do like a Clary Sage in a blend like this. And I'll start using this one again. This one was something that was really helpful for me hormonally. I don't know if that's a word, from a hormonal perspective. And oh, I peeled the sticker off with that. And yes, so a good one to use for all kinds of hormone related things. People tend to do it in a bit of a W shape on your lady area, lower tummy area is what I mean, or on the wrist, or as a perfume, because it's got quite, the blend they do smells a bit different to the actual Clary Sage itself. Oh, I touched it on my nose, I might go into labour. Alright, so anyone watching this video that doesn't know me, I am 36 weeks pregnant, so that's why I feel quite confident opening the Clary Sage and smelling it now, because I'm getting to the end point of the pregnancy. But do know what you're dealing with, understand your oils, enjoy your oils, and make sure that you are using them safely. Use them diluted, understand what you're doing, especially for you new little babies, and make sure that quality is your priority. That I cannot stress that enough. Do not go to the chemist and purchase a Clary Sage or get it from some random Nature's type company online. You have to use the best in the world, and that's why I think there's no alternative to doTERRA. You've got to use what we know and trust to be top quality, because you're putting it in your body, especially when you're coming to this point and you're like, I want to use all this natural stuff, I want to avoid using drugs, or I want to avoid using chemicals in my home. Why would you then replace them with a low quality essential oil and just be doing the same thing? You're still putting then potentially chemicals into your system, into your skin, and into your children's skin, and or in the air of your children's rooms and things like that. Not worth it, in my opinion. If you guys have questions about anything doTERRA related or labor related or whatever, I will give you the best version of my knowledge. But of course, a disclaimer, I'm not a health professional, just do my own research and based around these essential oils. Do your own research too. Talk to your medical professionals and make sure you're using them safely and effectively and the best quality. Okay, that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another video, and I'll see you next week when we talk about emotional support and kids. Thanks, guys. Bye.